My name is Kujo Yankson. Let me tell you how to turn back time. You can now bring back all the fun, all the excitement, all the controversy of the Super Morning Show and all your favorite Joy shows when you go to myjoyonline.com/podcasts. Just select your favorite show and bring it all back again. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
It's radio. Joy 99.7.
Good morning and welcome to the AM News here on the AM Show. Now, our first story, a total of 687 girls in the Upper West region returned to school pregnant as of May 2021 when schools reopened after the government announced a shutdown in March 2020 due to the outbreak of COVID-19. Stakeholders have described the situation as worrying and have started campaigns to support those who wish to go back to school. Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports.
Chilling account of a single night stand of 17-year-old junior high school one student that made her to drop out of school.
He wasn't even my boyfriend. He forced me, and that was my first time too. So we tried our best, but she did not accept it. So by now I'm staying in my father's house, and he's taking good care of me. Everything that I need, he will give it to me. So by now, God willing, next month maybe either I can deliver or not by the grace of God.
Ever since she became pregnant 8 months ago, her father has been on the heels on the man to own up the pregnancy and take full responsibility, but he wouldn't budge.
4 months pregnant before I was in the school, but when I got 5 months pregnant, then I left the school. So I came back and I sit at home. Now it's 8 months now. I left school. So the boy that I heard him gets pregnant, he told me that he's not the one. So finally my father accepted, and he's helping me to buy everything that I will need for the hospital and the baby's things and everything that we need for the pregnancy now.
Another is a 17-year-old who dropped out of school at junior high school too.
The first time I was in a Form 2 and I got the pregnant. So my parents didn't have money to take care of me, and I got pregnant with one man. So I didn't go to school again.
The duo is part of 100 girls from Issa, Fiang, Bure, and Wogu who dropped out of school. With support from Life Again, a non-governmental organization, they are ready to be back at school, though with more responsibilities. The Upper West Region's Directorate of the Ghana Education Service pegged the number of girls who returned to school pregnant at nearly 700. Juxtaposing figures from the Ghana Health Service, Chief Executive Officer of Life Again, Saudoto Mohammed, kept the numbers in the region higher than the one reported by the Ghana Education Service.
Last year, COVID hit us, and we saw that a lot of girls became pregnant. According to statistics, we have about 110,000 girls between the ages of 10 to 19 years who became pregnant, and most of these girls dropped out of school. In the Upper West region here, we have close to 4,000 girls, and for me, I believe this is even a reduced figure, because these are figures, or these are girls who have visited the facilities, health facilities, and they got recorded by the Ghana Health Service. There are lots of girls in the rural areas who are pregnant or who have given birth within this period, but were not visiting the centers, so they were not recorded.
Her outfit launched a campaign in March this year to support teen mothers with skills training to enable them generate income to take care of themselves and those who wish to go back to school. 100 teen mothers benefited from the program, 20 of whom are being supported to go back to school.
We are all about ensuring that these girls are empowered. And also, we have a number of girls who say they want to go back to school even after giving birth. And we are giving them scholarship, comprehensive scholarship to get back to school. And we have items, we're going to give them school materials to help them to get back to school and stay in school. So it's not a one-time support. Every year we will come and support these girls to stay in school.
The beneficiary team mothers who signed a contract not to be pregnant again during their period at school expressed joy for the support and pledged not to disappoint them. For now, the teen mothers have gotten their dreams of getting back to school on track, but they carry an extra burden of irresponsible men they swore not to forgive. Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Fiang.
And the chiefs of Asiwa in the Bosome Freho district are asking for the construction of a hospital to help meet the health needs of the increasing population. The health center at the district's capital serves a larger population but does not have the capacity to admit patients. Paramount Chief of the area, Nana Owusu Brempong III, says land reserved for many years for a hospital has been encroached on.
The Siwa Health Center, built years ago, has seen no expansion to meet the needs of the current population. Residents bemoan the facility's low capacity.
Any serious ailment can badly affect patients because our clinic is only a mini clinic. There is no facility for admitting patients for days.
I was 24 hours here.
The clinic is virtually empty almost every time. Patients are always referred to larger hospitals in other towns.
In anticipation of a hospital project, the traditional council has set aside a vast land with documentation to the Bosome Freho District Assembly. Nana Owusu Brempong is unhappy with the state of the land.
Over 30 years.
A land has been allotted for the construction of the hospital years ago, but the district assembly has made no efforts towards constructing it. All necessary documents to the land has been handed over. How do we stop persons who start building on the land?
Confusion. Na manswaba na the hospital na be raise you afro. One who say hospital here they are mad dada. As assassino. Enti no so here obi ebo profile no kwasi okra me stop no.
The chief called on President Akufo-Addo to start the construction of the hospital project.
First no na nkro ni nyina no clinic no hono na no moba. But for the past 4 years akofom.
The clinic here used to be a center for healthcare for all surrounding towns. For the past 4 years, it hasn't been so. Women in labor suffer a lot. We appeal to the president himself to step in.
I was on for taxi near the Quanifa. Kono, the Buapa Equamuna driver or Jawo. What is here? But say, Yapa, Munina, Beboa.
The district chief executive would not respond to the concerns.
And there were some delays at some centers in Accra on Tuesday as officials resorted to manual data entry for persons receiving their second doses of the AstraZeneca vaccines. The exercise is taking place in all 16 regions of the country for persons who took their first jabs in March. Patronage was high, but officials struggled to cope with the numbers as data entry servers failed to respond for most of the time. Judith Awachotando visited some centers in Accra and reports.
The Malamata Polyclinic was one of the most patronized centers we visited. Vaccination started on a good note at the center. However, around noon, they faced some technical problems with their registration server. This caused the delay in registration as persons who had gathered to get inoculated had to wait for about an hour. Although the delay was quite agitating, the people were generally understanding. Some of them spoke to Joy News.
Also, the network challenge is everywhere. It's everywhere, so you just comport yourself with it. Even if you are using your phone, you find it difficult sometimes to operate it. So we just exercise patience and then wait for the right time.
It's going well. It will soon get to our turn. Earlier in the day, however, we experienced some technical challenges, but now it's better. For me, I don't care even if it means I'll wait here till evening. I'll do it.
Oh, I came in the morning, but a lot of people are here, so I just went back. So I just came in right now, but I think the line is now okay.
Disease Control Officer at the Ayawaso Central Municipal Health Directorate, Emmanuel Akasireku, explained that the polyclinic began manual registration as a means to salvage the situation.
So actually, we are working with an online application, and then it went off. So we resorted to manual work, putting the data into a manual system that we will later upload, but it wasn't long before the system came back, so everything is smoothly going on now.
We visited the Entrance University Hospital, which also had its dose of challenges. Matilda Ambaka is a community nurse.
So far, so good, but some of the challenges we've been having is most of the people didn't take the first jam here, but they come in, they walk in and they want you to attend to them, which you cannot do so. So you have to direct them to go to the previous place that they took the first jam. That has been our challenge so far. Today we've been able to vaccinate 10 people.
Judith Awachitando, Joy News.
A significant number of Ghanaians sampled in a survey say they are not confident in government's ability to fulfill key campaign promises, as well as deal with governance issues like curbing corruption and protecting the nation's financial resources. The respondents of a CDD survey also expressed low confidence in government's ability to expand the One District, One Factory initiative. The governing New Patriotic Party is already blaming what it describes as a lot of propaganda in the system, fueling such low confidence levels as against the reality on the ground. But the opposition National Democratic Congress disagrees. There's more in the following report.
2,400 Ghanaians were randomly sampled from all regions of the country between May and June 2021. The respondents expressed mixed reactions on government's ability to follow through the free SHS program and other policies.
Oh yes, but the majority expressed lack of confidence in government's ability to expand the $1 million per constituency initiative. That's a whooping 61% are saying that they don't think that the $1 million per constituency initiative will be fulfilled. So in view of all this, what are the priorities that citizens are expecting government to pay attention to? As in many of our surveys, except the pre-election survey that we conducted last year, unemployment has topped that list again.
The issue of corruption also received low confidence responses.
So again, you can see that 62% over that's the highest so far in terms of people's views about whether corruption can be kept in the next 4 years. Again, still on the government's confidence in the ability of the government to consolidate and expand policy initiatives. We see that there's an equal split of respondents in their confidence in the government's ability to consolidate the gains in the planting, rearing for food and job program.
The governing NPP says the responses don't necessarily reflect the reality on the ground.
What's the meaning of the say? That means, was it the say that people thought that we're in the same track of attacking corruption, and if you add the yellow to it, then we are way above the 50-something. So they should have explained to us the meaning of the ash color, which they denoted as say. Of course, if you look at the hula baloo people are talking about, and you look at the survey results, you will be amazed. I mean, look at what people are saying. It means that there's so much propaganda than the actual work that's going on. That's the way I see from the results. And we must look at actuals than propaganda.
The NDC disagrees.
We've always said that, and I don't want to get, but we feel there's a culture of impunity when it comes to government officials. And the more that happens day in, day out, the more issues occur. When violence occurs during elections, people have behaved in a certain way and no actions are taken, then how would Ghanaians feel confident that corruption will be dealt with? So I think it goes without saying. And don't forget, things have happened even since, which were not captured in this survey. So to be interesting, I mean, that is one aspect of the survey which should not surprise any Ghanaians, and it should be a wake-up call for the government.
CDD Ghana hopes the findings will influence policy decisions and citizens' engagement going forward.
And that's it for the AM News here on the AM Show. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we'll be diving straight into the newspapers with Israel Lai and myself.
Hi, this is Lexus Bill, host of Drive Time on Joy 99.7 FM. Listen, you don't have to worry if you miss Drive Time or Personality Profile. It's going to be live on our podcast page. Just log on to www.myjoyonline.com/podcast. You can listen to Drive Time, Personality Profile, and any other of your favorite shows on Joy FM on that page. You don't have to miss a show at all. Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
All right, so time to get into the newspapers.
Yes. But can I say hello to all our people? Because you said hello already. Hello, people. Good morning. Welcome to September. Aren't we excited? The year is almost Christmas. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Yeah. Well, September, October, November, December, whatever. Anyways.
So let's get on. I mean, I can see you're really excited.
I'm just happy September. This morning, and I'm the one who's doing the daily graphic. Yeah. I've been elevated.
Your birth month or something?
No, my birthday was last month, remember?
Yeah.
I mean, I can have 2 birthdays. I don't mind. I really don't mind if it means you're going to buy me cake. But yeah, the silence means no, Israel is not buying cake.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Yesterday, I went to buy groceries, right? And I was negotiating with a woman that, you see, we Ghanaians, when we buy, you won't be able to relate. When we buy groceries, you know, if you have like a connect, you know, grocery shopping is a connect. Do you even get no idea? So I was negotiating that, you know, okay, I'm going to pay half, and then I'll come and pay half today because the money that I had, I didn't want to spend all. And the guy who I buy stuff from them once, he was like, oh, but you, pa, Israel said if we need money, we should come to you, and you're coming here to come in and credit you. I was like, look, Israel, you can't cause problems for me in my life. Oh. Please, I'm mourning.
But yeah, I mean, I've said it. Yeah, and it's true. If you need money, just hook up.
Very funny. And join me on the credit line. And good morning to Kobe and Auntie Maggie, my grocery suppliers. Yeah. Okay.
So I'll start. So I'll start with the Ghanaian Times here.
Okay, it's 6:33.
Okay.
You was okay. Let's make it 6:34.
All right. So in the Ghanaian Times, the front page, Ghana bags $103.4 million from World Bank to reverse 3 million hectares of degraded land. Second dose of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccination begins slowly in Accra. NIB begins investigations into importation of rosewood. And let's get into it. On page 3, self-styled prophetess, Okada operator arrested over murder of boy 13. And there's a photograph of him here in the paper. Painter graph allegedly defiling 6-year-old girl. Police investigate alleged butchering of woman's suicide by husband. And Menji SHS accountant embezzles 21,229 Ghana cedis. Park urges punitive action. In Africa news, insecurity looms in DR Congo. Tanzania opposition leader in court to face terrorism charges. Taliban special forces take over Kabul airport after U.S. troops pull out from Afghanistan. So that's the story you have on page 6 of the Ghanaian Times. Except when you read the story itself, it's about a drone strike that killed up to 10 members of one family. So I think there's a mistake somewhere there. Energy Minister inaugurates board of 3 agencies. NIB begins investigations interpretation of rosewood. So that story is on page 7. Then we go to page 10. We'll face criminals squarely. That's DCOP Atebela. That's the Bunu East Regional Commander. 30-member delegation from Nigeria on GIS study tour. They're coming to start and study the Ghana Immigration Service. Then the story on the second dose of AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccination beginning slowly. That's on page 15. Chief of Staff presents 14.4 million cedis to defray cost of surgery of conjoined twins. Appeals to Ghanaians to support doctors with prayers. So the president has made good on a promise to support the surgery with 14.4 million cedis. The story on Ghana getting the money from the World Bank is in the center spread of the Ghanaian Times. We're ready to host 2023 African Games, President Akufo-Addo assures, and he was saying this at the sword cutting for the construction of the sports complex to commence. Then on page 18, COVID-19 vaccination waste. Government begins proper disposal of materials nationwide. Leklebi Duga Health Center receives medical equipment. And page 23, Ghana's land administration started poorly. LSD chairman. On page 23. Then we go to page 24. Ghana Nuclear Power Program to generate $1.2 billion. That's Professor Nyako, who's the Director General of the Ghana Atomic Energy Commission. And government urged to budget for land restoration projects. Strengthening water safety laws to protect loss of lives. Police caution public against use of firearms at social gatherings. And I'm sure it's coming on the back of that event where, well, festival where a boy was killed, apparently on his birthday. Ghana records $874 million in investment in half year. That's the Ghana Investment Promotion Center. And then Ghana's construction industry ranks 6th most attractive. Yeah, because we have the cost of housing here, the houses that we sell here or we build here are really, really expensive. So I'm not surprised. South Africans, except, yeah, there are many houses that nobody's occupying. So
yeah, that's true.
Very high-end
houses and apartments that people just cannot afford. Yeah,
they can't afford. So yes, it's attractive, but I won't advise, really. South Africa's Masma to sell 14 game stores in Ghana, other West and East African countries. And then Tarika originate partner to promote digital solutions. Oil edges up as US producers assess damage after Ida. And more than £38 billion spent on players in past decade. That's according to research.
Yeah, oh, that's interesting.
The players are expensive. Very, very expensive. Messi and all of them. And Ronaldo and all.
Ronaldo. Well, Ronaldo got sold for 15 mil.
Yeah, but before so they're looking at over the past.
Oh, but no, I'm just saying recently. I mean, Juventus to Man U.
Willian apologizes to fans after Arsenal exits. Nigeria coach.
They exit where? Where have they exited?
No, I think he's left Arsenal.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, good move.
And Fatal Ashikwe joined Black Stars in camp for qualifiers. Says Mboidu Salifu grabbed top football awards. That's Accra Football coach.
Oh, okay.
EC approves new club licensing regulations. Okay. Executive Council of Ghana Football Association, so not Electoral Commission. Germany supports Ghana to fight COVID-19. And Usuta Jigbe residents march against Fulani cattle destroying farms. Right, I'm done.
Okay, 6 minutes, well done. I'm going to go into the Daily Graphic this morning. And on the front page, invasion of streets by child beggars. Are authorities helpless? This story, gosh, it's terrible. It's terrible in so many ways because there's obviously the concern for the children who are having to beg and not going to school. It's a menace if you're driving and you're in traffic. Woe betides you if you're driving and you're in traffic and you're eating something, or your kids are eating something in the car. I mean, it's like, one of them will just call everybody else and say their children in the car who are eating, and they come and just like crowd around the windows, and then
so
your children,
because
then your kids start feeling bad, and stuff. So it's really, it's multifaceted, but it's just not good on any level. And it makes me wonder that what are they going to grow up and become? You know, what is the future for them?
Yeah.
And what are the implications, you know, then for us? But anyways, that story is on the front page. The menace of street children in Accra is getting out of control, and the Department of Social Welfare under the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection seems helpless. I completely agree, and something needs to be done. SNIDS pays 1.6 million Ghana cedis to invalid pensioners. Nana Otosrebo marks 50 years on the stool. Greater GCGL to help bridge the housing deficit. Okay, so that story in full on page 3 of the Daily Graphic. Our authorities helpless. South Africa, oh God. South Africa warns of a new COVID-19 variant.
Yep.
Gosh, this only gets worse, doesn't it? Okay, so genetic researchers who've been watching for new COVID-19 variants say they've seen a troubling new lineage that carries many of the same hallmarks as other strains, including alpha, beta, and gamma. The variant that they're watching is called C12. It has popped up across South Africa as well as in 7 other countries in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. They're not sure whether its constellation of mutations will make it more dangerous, but it carries changes that have given other variants increased transmissibility and the ability to evade the immune system's response to some degree. So it has some scary stuff, and oh God, we're going to keep watching. Watching for this, just when you think things are getting better, huh?
Yeah.
Well, the U.S. has completed their Afghanistan withdrawal. The final U.S. military flight has left the Afghan capital. The Pentagon has announced officially ending the United States' 20-year war in Afghanistan. So that's what's happening. We'll fight child marriage. Stakeholders in Salaga pledge. That story about authorities being helpless when it comes to child beggars continues there as well. Help build resilience of local communities. Security experts is urging the Peace Council. So drama unfolds at PAC sitting in Sunyani. Declare acting MMDCs illegitimate. Dafia Metmo is asking the Supreme Court for that. Greater GCGL to help bridge the housing deficit. And there's a photo report on page 23 of the Daily Graphic, which has very vivid images of the children who are begging by the streets. And a lot of times I actually wonder whether they're not going to stand in such a way that the car tires will pass on their feet, because they're always so close. So close. Methodist Girls Prempeh SHS present global awards to the president. Congratulations to Methodist Girls and Prempeh SHS. They won awards in robotics and coding, so great stuff there. Probe Rosewood cartel. Jinapor charges the NIB. Don't cheat in WASSCE. GES Director General is cautioning candidates. Don't cheat in WASSCE. 3 teacher unions want incident-free WASSCE. Of course, we just want to be able to, write the exams and move on with life, not have any drama. That's WASSCE related. Okay, let's go to business. ADB Anglican Church to establish rubber plantation. Well, that sounds interesting. Have a rubber plantation. It takes you back to the movies of slaves and stuff where, they're working on plantations and stuff. Ghana requires dynamic HR managers. That's according to the employment minister. That story about Nana Otosrebo is on page 44, if you'd like to catch up with that. And sports, Otofista was philosophical rather than tactical. Now, when you hear the name Otofista, obviously we know he was a Ghanaian coach many years ago. But the first thing that comes to mind is the trousers, halfway down the back. The sagging trousers, isn't it? You really don't think of Otofista as a person.
So was he the one who started it, or we already had it and we just named it after him?
I have no idea how come Otofista is...
If he was the one who started it, it must have been such a bad influence on us.
Well, why don't you tell us? If you know, why don't you tell us on social media? We'll speak to Echo. Maybe we'll open the phone lines. Maybe you could call us and tell us, where did the whole Otofista term come from? How did it go from being the name of a coach to being, you know, sagging trousers that are literally about to fall off. And tell me how many times you've been tempted, you've seen a guy wearing these trousers like halfway down his butt and you just want to rip it down. It's like, you might as well just take the trousers off. You know what I mean? So, well, you should let us know. Let us know. Where does Otofista come from? Not the person, not the coach, but the sagging trousers. President cuts short for 2023 African Games Complex at Borteman. And on the back page, Ministry of Health receives medical equipment from German government, and government releases 14.39 million Ghana cedis for the separation of conjoined twins. Now that story has been in the news for a few weeks now, and we're really just going to pray for, you know, the surgeons and the doctors that are going to take care of these twins. This is the first kind of surgery that's happening in Ghana, and it means a lot for the lives of the children, their families, but it also means a lot for medical tourism as well. If we're able to pull that off, might be a really good source of income for the country and for our health sector.
Apparently, so the 14.3 million cedis is not so much about, a lot of it is to get equipment.
Yeah. And the good thing about the equipment is that it's not disposable. So then we actually have the equipment
get to
be
use
able,
the equipment for
exactly,
any other future surgeries.
So do you people should buy the equipment properly? Don't do your things. Don't do your things. We know you, please. Okay, I'm done with the daily.
Okay, so let's get to the Finder. And on the front page, $145 million Olympic Stadium commences. When I hear these sums, and I'm wondering, do we really have the money to actually afford that? We keep on, because the country is in a difficult situation. Okay, but the story is on page 8. The President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo has cut off for the commencement of the construction of a $145 million state-of-the-art sporting facilities at Borteman, for the hosting and organization of the 13th edition of the All Africa Games slated for 2023. Okay. I hope we're going to get to finish that in good time. MPP commends delegates for successful conference. Development Bank will complement strengthening existing financial institutions. That's Professor Peter Quartey. And Ghana, right, let me move on. Ignore recruitment scam using my photo on social media. That's Lieutenant Colonel Apia, the commanding officer of the 6th Artillery Regiment at Ho in the Volta region. Lieutenant Colonel Edward Sapong Apia has warned the public against the activities of scammers using his photos on social media to dupe people under the pretext of recruiting them into the Ghana Armed Forces. Then, significant minority of Ghanaians optimistic about Akufo-Addo's performance in the next 4 years. And it's interesting the way they put it. They say, significant minority of Ghanaians optimistic about Akufo-Addo's performance in the next 4 years.
Which part of it is funny? The fact that minority is significant or minority?
But if you flip it, essentially means that majority of Ghanaians are not optimistic.
Yes, or a majority of the minority of the Ghanaians who are not optimistic are actually quite... It's an interesting twist.
Yeah, so a survey, we have that coming up on AM Talk. We're going to be looking at that CDD survey, and so maybe let me just leave it here. But yeah, it's on page 5 of the Finder. The combination treatment reduces malaria by 70% among African children, and that story on the Olympic Stadium commencing is on in the center spread, and you have some other photos there that you can get to check out. And that'll be it for the Finder.
Okay, I'm going straight into the Daily Guide this morning. I'll work with you on Airbus, other cases, Attorney General to Special Prosecutor. So the Attorney General, Minister of Justice Godfrey Abadame, has assured the new Special Prosecutor, Kisi Ejabing, that he will not hesitate to collaborate with him in big corruption-related issues that are still unresolved. All right, 1.5 million more vaccines coming. Nana Kat Sod for $145 million new stadium. Government plans Rosewood truck seizure. Okay. Let's go into the Daily Guide now. Let's do some international stories, shall we? Page 5. Triumphant Taliban parades at Kabul airport after U.S. exit. Gunmen in Nigeria released school children that were abducted 3 months ago. South Africa is warning of a new variant. I told you about that. It's also in the Daily Graphic. And then let's just do like a mixture of things. 6 arrested for robbery, murder, 1.5 million more vaccines coming. Prempeh Manfe girls make Ghana proud. Also told you about that in the robotics and coding competition. Police saves kidnapper from death in Patase. Oh, that's interesting. The Ministry of Information is rallying support for media programs, and Tema shipyard workers go wild. Okay, now some entertainment news. And you remember Israel, I think it was 2 days ago, we're talking about Irene Logan and her interview, what she had said. Well, she spoke to Lexis as well. She also spoke on OKFM, and she revealed that she used to smoke a lot. She was smoking about 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and she added that she went deeper into smoking and has been able to give that up since she gave her life to Jesus. She also talks about other kinds of substances. Abuse. So yeah, substance abuse. I'm just trying to clarify because I've picked up bits and pieces from social media, but the Daily Guide doesn't say all of that. Anyways, and she's released her song More, which is a gospel song. So the story of redemption and salvation is always a beautiful one, you know, whichever angle you look at it from. Remember that you can give your life to Jesus too. This is evangelism here on the AM show this morning. God first, then make money. Majid, how do you pronounce this guy?
Majid Michel.
Yeah, Majid Michel preaches God first, then make money. R. Kelly trial. First male accuser testifies to sexual abuse. Achimota student wins Yvonne Nelson's glaucoma essay competition. And we love it when our kids are creative, aren't we? Increase gold royalties to 50%, that's mine workers. CocoBot pilots farmer pension scheme. Viva opens well, how is this even news? Anyways, let me just move on. Schools record 687 post-COVID pregnancies. Now this story, which I did in the news, is very disturbing. If you missed the news, let me tell you about it. 687 girls in the Upper West region returned to school pregnant as of May 2021 when schools reopened. So this was after schools were shut down during COVID. So during COVID, during the shutdown and all of that, there was a lot of sexual activity going on. 687 post-COVID pregnancies in one region. And of course, in the news story that we brought, not all of these, you know, encounters were consensual. You know, and we did worry about it, the fact that our kids were going to be home and they were going to be a lot more vulnerable as well and bored. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're going to try and fix it. The main issue with this is making sure that even though they're pregnant, they can get back into school.
So that's a good thing, the fact that they're back in school.
Yeah. So hopefully they're being supported, not being stigmatized and all of that. So man 45 defiles girl 6. And this is absolutely horrific. It happened in Sotom. Okay, let's do some sports. Okay, well, Fancy Gadam is also speaking. He says, I want to become the biggest artist from the north. I think he already is. I'm not sure who can compete with him on that level coming from that
Should
side.
aspire to become the biggest
artist in Ghana, and then Africa, and then the world. Yeah. Okay, back page, just some quick sports. Tap into Azuma Bazooka expertise. Female coaches get Betway Up training. No infrastructure for Kotoko after 86 years. That's it for the Daily Guide.
Okay, let's go to the Daily Statesman, and they have the story of the sports complex taking off. And Ghanaians reaffirm confidence in Akufo-Addo's leadership. And so you see the way they put it. Ghanaians reaffirm confidence in Akufo-Addo's leadership. And they go on to say that majority of Ghanaians still have high hopes in the ability of the Akufo-Addo government to better their lot in the second term in office. And they say a whopping 45% of the population sampled expressed optimism that educational issues will be handled much better or better. But they also acknowledge the lows, that the government, however, scored low in the areas of reducing crime, fighting corruption in government, and promoting collaboration between the ruling and opposition parties. And let's move on to the other stories. Prempeh College wins World's RoboFest competition. Okay, that's excellent. And Ghana to receive 1.5 million doses of AstraZeneca from Germany. What else? KK Sapong, he says some rabble-rousing CSOs hired to destroy GMPC. Oh, really? And Ghana, Germany to improve testing of construction materials and chemicals. Okay, I'll go to the back page where Cristiano Ronaldo to Manchester United. I'm back where I belong and dedicates return to Sir Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Okay. And Arsenal transfer news, Hector Bellerin set for Real Betis loan move. Okay, so that.
All right, do you want to quickly do the business and financial?
Yeah, I should.
Online.
So on the front page, Bank of Ghana moves to localize card payment processing. Okay, that should be good. Okay, independence of DBG must be protected, as the experts, else it will fail like the others. And IFS urges government to take charge of extractive sector. And then the main story here, cement to hit 60 cedis per bag if taxes levies are not reviewed. Ouch.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah.
Vaccination centers in Ashanti benefit from safe disposal of vaccine vials. All right. So, yeah, I think that'll be it for me for the Business and Financial Times.
Okie dokie. Should we go to myjoyonline.com and see what's happening online? Okay, big story. Survey on Akufo-Addo's ability to protect the public purse, not influenced by propaganda. That's according to Dr. Asante, and we will have that conversation a little later on in the show. COVID-19, Ghana records 19 deaths in 2 days. Wow, that's a lot. 19 deaths in 2 days. Akufo-Addo hired another jet to the UK and Germany, which costs £14,000 per hour. Ablakwa alleges. I don't understand why the president just doesn't have his own jet, if that's the case.
He does have a jet.
So why would he hire a jet?
That's what people are wondering.
Doesn't make sense.
Well, they say that the jet we currently have is inadequate.
If you don't like it, trade it in. I mean, opportunity cost, right? Especially if it's not going to become a personal thing. If it's going to be like a presidential jet, so Air Force One or whatever, then invest in it, have a good one, and let's stop wasting money.
I agree.
Doesn't make sense. Anyways, more stories on myjoyonline.com. Suhum MP condemns free-for-all fight at funeral, calls for calm. National Cathedral Chief Imam only employing sophistry. His donation has nothing to do with peaceful coexistence. That's according to Haruna Atta. And 1 dead, 19 others, including a pregnant woman injured in car crash at Adesu. Okay, so more stories on My Joy Online. There's business, entertainment, sports, everything that you need to know. But Israel, why don't you tell us what's coming up in the show?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the conversation having to do with the internship. So yeah, we'll be joined by two gentlemen who are going to be telling us about that internship opportunity. And I'm encouraging you to get your friends to tune in as well, because, there are a lot of people who have become successful because they took up internship opportunities.
Yeah, like right now I'm an intern. I'm learning from you. So yes,
you're not an intern.
I'm such an intern.
But yeah, I mean, the
opportunities
are there. People should take advantage of that. But then on the AM talk, we're going to be having conversations about the CDD survey and what people have had to say about the current administration. We'll get into the details, and we'll have some analysts who are going to be speaking to us about that. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds good. Sounds like something you shouldn't miss. So don't go anywhere. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll get into the sports. And then, of course, we'll dive into our conversations. But remember, we'll also have showbiz at the end of the show. Some exciting news with IB. And we're also asking you, Otofista, how did it move from being a coach's name to being sagging trousers? If you have the answer to that, keep it for us. We will, at some point, engage on that. And let's find out. It's good to learn something new every day. Don't go anywhere. This is the AM Show.
Hello, good morning and welcome to the AM Sports with me, Oreku Wampofo. We do start off with our first story where the Minister for Youth and Sports, Mustapha Yusuf, has revealed the outstanding arrears of Black Stars coach Charles Akonor is paid gradually. Now, the minister insinuated that since he assumed office, he has not owed the gaffer, but has rather paid him ahead of time. So we'll try and get you that story of Mustapha Yusuf, but President Nana Akufo-Addo cut the sword yesterday for the construction work to begin on sporting facilities for the 13th and 13th edition of the African Games scheduled for 2023. Now, he performed the ceremony at Botima near Accra for the construction of a 50,000 capacity Olympic standard stadium to kickstart Ghana's preparation to host the Games.
Hosting the 13th African Games will afford Ghana the opportunity to address capacity deficiencies by providing the relevant human resource capacity to run and manage sports in Ghana. Most importantly, this will give us state-of-the-art sporting facilities that will support the development of sports. In this regard, the Boteman structure, whose construction begins today, will be equipped with the following facilities in accordance with international standards and will be capable of hosting any international competition. A 1,000-seater competition swimming pool, that is a 10-lane competition swimming pool, an 8-lane warm-up swimming pool, a 1,000-seater multi-purpose sports hall for basketball, badminton, boxing, table tennis, and weightlifting. A 500-seater temporary dome. I'm confident that Ghana will organize the best ever African Games in history.
Well, yesterday, the European transfer window shut, but some local transfer news and Great Olympics talisman Gladson Awako, he moved to Hartlepool in what was the biggest move in the Ghana Premier League transfer window so far. The Phobians paid a compensation of about $15,000 for Awako, who scored 7 times in 30 games last season, as providing 6 assists as well, whilst winning 4 Man of the Match awards, and was also voted as Player of the Month twice last season. Awako has been speaking for the first time since making the move to regional rivals Hartlepool.
Flourishes in the fitness game. Yeah, it's an important leader for them. It's important. He's a creative element in the side. He's a good leader on the pitch. Referee full of whistles. I want to step forward. There he goes. Oh, stop. Magnificent. For Great Olympics. Oh, my goodness.
Awako, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay.
Generally, how's the feeling? When you decided to come back to play in Ghana, did you think it was going to go this way? You play so well for Olympics and then find yourself in Accra Hartlepool. Did you think about that?
Not really, because initially the plan was to come back and relaunch myself and maybe to go back again, to travel again. But this year is where we are, where it didn't happen that way, which happens to play another season for Olympics again, which has brought me to where I am today. I never expected it.
Yeah, everybody knows that Gladson Awako was a fantastic player, and your record in football shows what you did. Zembe, when you went out, when you played in Ghana. So yeah, that was in everybody's mind that you were good. But to have re-emphasized that you are still the guy, you should be a proud man.
Yeah, it hasn't been easy, but I'm proud of myself. Though I am proud.
Beautiful. How difficult was it leaving the Olympics?
Well, I knew from onset it's not going to be that easy because of kind of people, the relationship I had with them, and they also feel this is the time they needed me most. And because of the way the season went for us last season, they feel, no, we don't have to let this guy go. We have to keep him here and there for us to come back the coming season stronger than we did this season. So it wasn't easy, but as a player, I need to move on to have new challenges and all that. So I spoke with them, especially I spoke to the board chairman and Olobo, and I spoke to coach as well, which wasn't easy, but they have to understand that I'm human and I have to move on. So they come to understand that, yes, this is my work.
So that's just a snippet of the full interview, which would be showing today on the AM show much later. So do stay tuned on the Joy News channel. Still on transfers, Joy Sports' Asari Bediako has been taking a look at some of the big transfer deals that took place this summer.
Until last year, it seemed implausible that the world's greatest ever player will leave the club with whom he has spent his entire career. However, with FC Barcelona's finances in shambles, PSG became the de facto destination for Lionel Messi after his contract expired, mainly because the Ligue A side was the only club who could afford his wages. The pool of former teammate Neymar also made the Parisian outfit an attractive option for the Argentine, while he was also keen to work under compatriot Mauricio Pochettino. In the French capital, Messi will now head arguably the most devastating front three in football history with Neymar and Mbappe. Messi is not the only football star who has made a move. His chief rival, Cristiano Ronaldo, has returned to Manchester United after getting frustrated with life at Juventus. Ronaldo scored 118 goals in 292 games during his first spell with United between 2003 and 2009. United's rivals, Manchester City, were offered the chance to sign the 36-year-old striker and considered making a move, but the former Premier League champions pulled out of the negotiations. And it took Romelu Lukaku just 50 minutes on his second Chelsea debut to show why the club paid a record fee to re-sign him a decade after he first joined. Though his goal against Arsenal was a simple finish, his performance was domineering. He bullied Ghana's defender Pablo Mari so much that the former England defender Rio Ferdinand described it as like a sixth former playing against first years. It was an ominous sign of things to come from the big man from Belgium. Romelu Lukaku's former club, Manchester United, €50 million for French defender Raphael Varane. Arsenal's pursuit of Ben White caused puzzlement among some supporters. For a side with the third best defensive record in the Premier League last season, wouldn't £50 million be better spent elsewhere? But for Mikel Arteta, like many coaches in the modern game, a central defender's remit is not simply to keep the ball out of his own net, it is to move it upfield as accurately and effectively as possible. Aside from Lionel Messi, no player across Europe's top 5 leagues produced more assists than Jadon Sancho over the last 3 seasons. With speed, balance and footwork in abundance, Sancho will undoubtedly be causing all sorts of trouble for Premier League defenders this year. The world's best attacking right back by some margin, Achraf Hakimi, is already thriving at PSG, and it looks like he's developing a brilliant partnership with Kylian Mbappe, who recently referred to him as his brother in an Instagram post. And at $139 million, Jack Grealish became the most expensive English player of all time when he signed for Manchester City this summer. One of the Premier League's brightest stars over the last 2 seasons, the 25-year-old will now showcase his skills among the best players in the league, which will undoubtedly only see his own game go from strength to strength. Sergio Ramos is perhaps the most essential of the bunch for Ligue A side PSG. For all his goal-scoring prowess, his defense, especially last season after the departure of Thiago Silva, has been a huge weak point.
Well, that's how we'll be wrapping up the sport here. Throughout the day, we'll be bringing you results of the U.S. Open in our subsequent bulletins as well. My name is Ari Kwampofo, and the AM show continues right after this.
Hello, my name is Evans Mensah, and you can relive all the fun and excitement on Top Story, Newsnight, and of course, Ghana Connect via podcast. All you need to do is to log on to myjoyonline/podcast. Search for your favorite show and relive the moment. Joy 99.7 FM, your radio for discerning listeners.
Now, as we do every Wednesday, we have AM Business, which focuses on the EcoBank Joy News Habitat Fair that was launched on Friday as part of efforts to bridge the housing gap. For the month of September, AM Business will feature the value chain of Ghana's housing sector. Today, we begin with the raw material, cement. Charles Aite reports.
Whenever the price of cement rises, three reasons are best fetched: the fluctuating dollar, import imbalances, and high demand. Let's talk about the high demand, because even as the market for cement expands, players in the industry are minimally Ghanaian. Besides, a chunk of the basic raw materials that make up the production of cement are imported. With the coronavirus shutting borders, the demand for cement has spiraled, with prices going beyond the roof. In a scramble for immediate future solutions, the Minister of Trade and Industry, Alan Tremantin, visited Jata Cement, owned by Ibrahim Mahama.
You know, this industry is dominated by global foreign companies. And that's the way it is globally, all over the world. So this is the first investment in the cement industry which is wholly Ghanaian owned. And I think that alone is very significant. Yes, as a government, we very much understand and appreciate the importance of foreign investment capital. But there's no evidence of any country anywhere in the world that has been able to achieve superlative growth without supporting their own indigenous entrepreneurs. And that is why I think that this particular investment is something that should pave the way for investments in industries that otherwise have been dominated only by foreign companies.
Jata Cement is among the new and emerging plants in the industry, which starts with bagging-only plants such as Dangote Cement, which has a grinding plant in Takoradi, and others under the One District, One Factory initiative.
Now I step here, it's almost like a food packaging factory. No evidence of dust, nothing. And now I understand that this is indeed an eco-friendly cement plant. And so it shows you that it's not just the fact that this is an indigenous entrepreneur doing this, but that he's taking the trouble to invest in the state-of-the-art technology, which also is important for us as a developing country. But it goes beyond these 2 points. This is going to create high-skilled jobs for Ghanaians, high-skilled jobs. And, you know, every year 300,000 young people graduate from our tertiary institutions. If you add the number of people who are graduating from second cycle institutions, nobody should tell you that our #1 development challenge is to identify job opportunities for our teeming youth. And that's why I'm happy that this is going to also contribute to the potential for job creation. But again, you also realize that even though this is a high-tech state-of-the-art company, I only see 3 foreign, I would say, management experts here. The rest, you've all been introduced to us. It means that the top management team, it's all Ghanaian. Our friend from Morocco, I realized that he now wants to stay in Ghana. He now wants to stay in Ghana. But the beauty is that it's not just Ghanaian owned, it's also wholly managed by Ghanaians. Again, it goes beyond that. The level of investment is very significant. I think when it's completed, you are talking about an investment of over $100 million US when all the phases of the project is completed. And you can imagine that this is not chicken feed. And just the courage to get into this level of investment, I think, is worth commending.
In fulfillment of policy direction, Jetta Cement Limited applied and obtained a 1-year permit to import 1.2 million metric tons of bulk cement for rebargain in February 2018. This permit could not be utilized due to the technical and constructional challenges that expired at the end of February 2019.
Would be quality, and that describes us. And then the other leg of it, which is the eco-friendliness nature of the whole thing, is about the fact that we also think about the environment and then safety. And that is why, as you toured around, you saw that this, even though it's a cement factory, but if somebody had not told you, or if you're not here yourself, you will mistake it to be maybe a food cannery plant. Now, the fact is that a lot of investment has gone in this, and it also will tell you that this will be the only and wholly and solely owned Ghanaian company, run also almost by wholly Ghanaian management. And this is the first of its kind in this country. And so our slogan or mantra has been that we are building for generations. Very soon we'll double this capacity, and that is only for the bag segment. If we add selling directly to project side, the capacity in the next few years will be 3 million tons. And by far, our vision is to make sure that we become #1 in this country in the next few years. And then we are going to work seriously towards that, and then also solicit the support of government. And for us, we are very, very delighted to even have the minister visiting us, even though we have not started the operation fully.
Meanwhile, the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers has indicated that the high cost of cement is as a result of the high cost of production, unfair trade practices, low utilization rates of the cement products, and unfair competition. The firm believes that the pressure caused by COVID-19 is also a major concern. Dr. George Dawson Amwa is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers.
I use this medium to appeal. We've done this severally to Ghana Standard Authority, which the Minister for Trade and Industry, Honorable Alan Chemate, has even empowered us to have a memorandum of understanding with Ghana Standard Authority. And the reason is simple. Check us. Check our standard. Impose penalties where one defaults. Come to us to collaborate. What equipment do you need? What support do you need? Because we want to be proud of a product from Ghana. It's obvious that quality can be compromised. And it's not something that you cannot see it earlier on, but you see it later. And the earlier you see it earlier, the consequences will be disastrous. So there should be collaboration. Ghana Standard Authority must fight.
The commencement of production by Jetta Cement will make it the second bargain plant and the 12th plant in the industry, as well as provide consumers with additional choice of cement on the Ghanaian market. I'm Charles Aite for Joy Business.
Hello, I'm Dori Nando. You can catch up with all the fun on the Cosmopolitan Mix and on all our shows via podcast. Just go to My Joy Online podcast and search for your favorite show and relive those moments all over again. Only on Joy 99.7 FM, radio for discerning listeners.
Super Hits Radio, Joy 99.7.
All right, so it's still the AM show, and we're going to get into AM Talk. AM Talk, we're going to be talking about the CDC survey that was released yesterday. So we'll be getting into the details and how people are not so keen and so excited about how the president is handling a number of issues in the government. So we'll get to that, but I'd want us to say happy birthday to one of our colleagues here. He's with the logistics and Anymore, how do you
distribution?
Logistics and distribution department of the company. Okay. Logistics and transport department. Essentially, he's one of our drivers. But Anymore thought we should find a nicer title.
Wow. This is how you throw me under the bus.
Oh.
Oh, David.
No, but it's good.
You know, if Adam hadn't done it, Israel would have done it. If Adam had not denied and put it on a woman, Israel would have done it. So it was inevitable.
I wasn't born. But happy birthday to you, George. He's one of our, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy. Happy birthday, George. Yeah. And may God bless you abundantly, abundantly. Open the heavens over your life. Amen.
Amen. All right. So let's get into the conversation there. President Akufo-Addo and his administration don't seem to have impressed much with the fight against corruption, according to a survey conducted by CDD Ghana. Now, 53% of Ghanaians are not confident government will protect the country's financial resources. Majority also do not believe the president intends to curb corruption. So we'll be getting into the survey findings. These are just the highlights, but would want you to join us with your views on the AM show. So we posted it on Facebook. Let's get to see if we have any comments there before we actually get into the conversation proper. But yeah, you should feel free to join us with what you think, where you stand as far as the findings are concerned. But we have Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political scientist with the University of Ghana, and he's joining us for some analysis on that. And so we'll be speaking to him in a bit. So thank you very much and good morning to you, Dr. Asah-Asante. But I'd also want us to start with Paul Osei-Kuffour, who's a senior officer at CDD Ghana. They put together the findings, and so let's get into that. So we'll start with you, Paul Osei-Kuffour. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Israel, and good morning to your co-panelists. Good morning to Dr. Asah-Asante.
All right.
Good morning, Paul.
Yeah. So let's get into it, Paul. So these findings, what's the whole idea? Why the survey?
So just let me give you a little background to the survey.
All right.
So it's a national representative sample of adult populations. All respondents are randomly selected, and one thing we do is that the sample distribution across regions in terms of urban and rural areas is proportionate to the share of the national population. And so when we say it is representative and it's also a sampling technique, it means that every adult citizens, that's any Ghanaian citizen above the age of 18 years has an equal chance of being selected. So generally, we interview about 2,400 adult citizens. And the data was collected somewhere May 23rd to 3rd of June. Then when we go into the why we did this selection,
why the survey?
Why we did the survey, sorry. Coming from the elections, there have been some outcomes that it would be good to seek or gauge Ghanaians' opinions on them. A key point is that President Akufo-Addo got elected as president, though he lost a significant number of votes compared to the 2016 elections. The NPP also lost a significant number of seats, I think 32 in all, losing 31 to the NDC and then 1 to an independent candidate that is one of their own. And also the first time we also have the Speaker of Parliament being a staunch member of the opposition. So we went to the field to ask Ghanaian opinions on a number of issues. Key among them was how are they interpreting the outcome of the elections, particularly the parliamentary one, where we have a hung parliament. Also, we were interested in the opinions and expectations on the likely impact of the hung parliament. That's what I just mentioned. And also the expectations of the likely impact of the election of NDC Speaker, NDC member as Speaker of Parliament, and also the expectations regarding the performance of the MPP government in the next 4 years, particularly with respect to the implementation of the manifesto promises. So this is the background to the study.
Okay.
If you ask me.
All right. So essentially, once you saw some indications or some interesting developments from the elections, you thought, okay, it would be good to find out why this occurred. Essentially.
Exactly. Okay. Because the 2020 election also produced some unique outcomes.
Yeah, the
first time we're having a hung parliament.
Yeah, the unique outcomes.
The first time we are also having an opposition, a staunch member, serving as the Speaker of Parliament. So some outcomes were quite interesting for us to assess citizens' opinions and expectations around them. And most critical the MPP losing a seat of about 32. And also going forward, what the public's confidence with regard to the implementation of government manifesto programs and policies. So as a result of that, of our regular politics informed the conduct of the election. But let me add that this election was also focused on local government. But we are serializing the release of the findings, and we hope to release that one soon as well.
Okay. One of the interesting things I saw in the slides that you shared, you say the overview. Let's go to the overview of the post-election survey. And it reads, Ghana recently conducted another successful presidential and parliamentary elections, which produced the following unexpected outcomes. And I'm curious, why would you say unexpected outcomes?
You know, if you look at our election landscape, we've never had the Speaker of Parliament coming from the opposition. So it was something that was unexpected.
Okay.
Right? And also looking at a party going into its second term from 2016 to 2020, losing a significant number of seats, as many as 31 seats. That was also some kind of an unexpected outcome.
Okay, but I would want to go more with unique outcomes than unexpected, because we go into an election and we shouldn't have any expectations that it's going to go in a particular way. Elections can go anyway.
If you look at a pre-election survey, you are basically right, because the dynamics keep changing to a larger extent. The trends are not the same. But if you look at a pre-election outcomes, though there were indicators, but we didn't expect to experience a hung parliament. So in as much as we for the first time, we experienced MPP 137, NDC 137 seats, I doubt if anybody had that expectations.
All right, but so let's get into the findings themselves. One of the, I want to start with you telling me what you thought were the most interesting findings in the survey.
It's quite interesting. Some of them are not that surprising, though, because if you look at citizens' perception about the reduction in President Akufo-Addo's vote margin and the reasons that they attribute for the cause of the reduction, some of these issues had already earlier on been discussed in the media space and among political conversations and actors. So it's quite interesting to find that people attributed a significant percentage, about 18%, saying that president performance accounted for the decline in the vote margin of the MPP. Some also, about 19%, also attributing same to the MPs and government appointees, that's their performance, attitudes, and conducts, and also president policy decision and action. So if you look at this, if you combine the president performance and the president policy decision and actions, it's quite significant, and it's something that I think we must take note, especially the ruling party.
Okay.
That was interesting. And then when you go to the reduction in MPP's parliamentary seats, about 33% think that the MPP and its MPs didn't perform creditably. They attributed it to non-performance. That's quite also something that MPs going forward must begin to look at their legislative oversight role in addition to their representative role. MPs come from constituencies. Sometimes when they get to parliament, they forget that they have a primary responsibility or affiliation with their constituents, reporting and engaging them. Sometimes there's a gap, there's a lacuna. So they must balance their duties in parliament and also their community representation function as well. That's quite interesting. If you go through, I think there was something also about government service delivery. That is quite interesting. If you look at it, significant majority of Ghanaians are optimistic that in the next 4 years, the Akufo-Addo MPP-led government will perform much better or better in addressing public or social service delivery.
All right.
But are less optimistic about government's ability to reduce crime. That is also quite significant.
Okay.
That if we happen to improve all the development indicators and indices, but we don't have a stable, peaceful environment for citizens to conduct their business, to enjoy public services, then it's quite worrying. And if you look at the trend of events regarding the crime situation in Ghana, I mean, every day you either hear domestic violence or you hear people are, not on a daily basis, but the regularity of these reports is quite alarming. And if citizens are harboring less optimism about the reduction of crime, I think it's something that we need to take it seriously, especially when you look at the sub-region. Countries around us have been battling with terrorism and extreme violence activities. So I think these are some of the highlights, but I think we can go further as the conversation.
We will go further into it. One of the questions I would want to ask you is what you make of some of the spin that has been put on it. So we have one headline in the Daily Statesman saying, Ghanaians reaffirm confidence in Akufo-Addo's leadership. So then I'm asking, is this the kind of headline you're expecting was going to come out of or does it tally with whatever you have or the survey that you did? But I want to bring in Dr. Asa Asante into the conversation. Dr. Asa Asante, thank you very much once again for joining us. So I'm sure you've gone through the survey and you've heard snippets of the findings. What do you make of it?
I think so far so good. CDD have done a good job. These things are very expensive, and people take it up on themselves to do it, and government and the public will make use of it free of charge. I commend them for that. But a more serious point is that when you look at the findings, they are very interesting. Interesting in the sense that they touch on aspects of governance which are critical for the smooth running of this country. And if you see the reaction of the respondents, very, very interesting. Key among it is the issue of, the president's vote dwindling in the last election. And the reasons that it assigned to them, very interesting. But what is more for me as a scientist is that I am happy with the kind of responses we are getting there, because they are looking at, performance. They said the president lost that quantum of votes simply because of poor performance, if I may put it that way. And then performance of also the president MPs or the party's MPs, and as well as policy decisions and actions. This gladdens my heart in the sense that now you are getting voters who are very much alive with promises, and then they want to see delivery. So here they are gauging that, yes, you promise us that you'll be able to do ABC, but what are we seeing now? Even though I admit that it's too early in the day, but it's a good gauge for the conduct of the government, so that it serves as a useful feedback for also the government of the day. That's it.
Dr. Kwame Asante, a quick one on something you just said, that you think it's too early in the day, but this government has been in power. This is the second term. So I'm sure they're judging not just on the second term, but they're looking at what the government or administration has done since the first term.
No, because if you look at the period within which the survey was conducted, from 23rd of March to 3rd of June, then we are not talking about the previous administration. We are talking about the current one, which the government has won the mandate of Ghanaians to rule for 4 years, and it's old, 8 months old. So I'm not sure they are looking at what has transpired. That is why that explains the basis for my answer. Yes.
All right. So quick one. Let me just go to Paul Osei-Kuffour. They conducted this survey. So this question of the people assessing the governance, is it just, are they just looking at this current term, or, because I feel that, yes, they may be looking at the current administration, but they're also judging the administration based on the first term. Am I right? Or this isn't something you are looking at?
So, Israel, the question about confidence.
Yeah.
The question we posed was that, how confident are you in the next 4 years the second Akufo-Addo-led MPP government will be able to? So it's a close-ended question. We gave them a couple of statements, but they are close-ended.
Right.
So we are looking at confidence in the next 4 years with respect to certain specific variables or indicators. So the first one was, how confident are you in terms of consolidating the gains of the free senior high school program as pledged in the MPP's 2020 manifesto?
Okay.
And basically most of the responses were split. So it's a kind of a mixed reaction. With respect to consolidating the gains of the free senior high school program as pledged in the MPP's 2020 manifesto, you have 52% saying very confident or somewhat confident. And then you have 45% saying not at all or not very confident.
Okay.
So 5 out of 10 Ghanaians are very confident, 4 out of 10 are not. And it cuts through. That was the only section where you have majority of Ghanaians expressing confidence. With the rest, though the responses were split, majority largely went to those who express not at all or not very confident. So in the case of confidence in government, extending electricity to cover the entire population as pledged in the party's 2020 manifesto in the next 4 years, that's 2020 to 2024. Majority, it was a split, this one was split 48%.
Okay.
Reopen discussions on MMDC's election on partisan line as pledged in the party's 2020. This one too, there's a 1 percentage point difference. 47 not at all or not very confident, 46% very or somewhat confident. So basically all of them, 4 Ghanaians, each express confidence or otherwise.
All right.
With regards to that policy promise.
Okay.
Then expand the One District, One Factory initiative across the country as pledged in the MP. This is where you see strong variation, with 57% indicating that they are not at all or they are not very confident, compared to 40%. So where 6 out of 10 Ghanaians express less optimism about the MPP government's ability to expand the one district, one factory initiative across the country. 4 in 10 Ghanaians express very or somewhat confident. So it's kind of a mixed and a split decision. So you cannot give a blanket or a general tagline or headline about these responses unless you pick specific indicators or specific statements that were put across.
All right. Now, let me come back to Dr. Kwame Asante-Santeh. So, yes, we've established that bit. So, can we continue with the other interesting findings you found in the survey?
Yeah. I thought Israel would have projected for me because I don't have some of these. But
all right, so you let me know which one you'd want me to project and we'll put it up.
That's a difficulty. If you can pick some areas, because I don't have energy in my house here, so as I'm in a tight corner. If you can project something,
all right, so we'll project some of them for you to go through.
Sure, that's fine.
All right, Echo. Let's go to page. Let's start with page 12, I believe, and then we can get into the conversation. So, Dr. Kwame Asante-Santeh, or rather, let's go to page 15. Citizens' perceptions about the reduction in President Nana Akufo-Addo's vote margin. So, a cumulative 58% attribute the reduction in President Nana Akufo-Addo's vote margin to his policy decision and actions, his MPs and appointees' performance, and the president's performance. So that's one of those that we can discuss. Dr. Kwame Asante-Santeh, okay, so whilst we get it ready.
Yes.
Okay, so that's it on your screen.
Yes.
So a cumulative 58% attributes the reduction in President Nana Akufo-Addo's vote margin to his policy decision and actions, his MPs and appointees' performance, and the president's performance. So that's what you have on your screen now.
Yes. The good news here is that you are having Ghanaians who are now looking at issues. Right. Take, for instance, the issue of what performance. They are saying that they are looking at how government delivers. And they are saying that we have not seen much. So if government can double up, that's fine. For me, it's a good indicator. And it also gives us a feedback as to whether voters are also becoming active or active participants, so to speak, in the administration of the state. For me, it's a good one. And then we are also looking at what the government performance, the government itself. Is the government delivering on its promise? And that is what the citizens are saying. It is another area that is worth also knowing. Yes.
All right. So then let's also go to the meaning of the reduction in MPP's parliamentary seats. So our respondents attribute the loss, which is the next slide, Echo. Our respondents attributes the loss of seats by the MPP as a result of the MP's non-performance, the MPP's bad campaign, and the non-performance of their candidates. So, Dr. Asante, you have that on your screen now.
Yes, I agree with this finding, especially when you are talking about the bad campaign of the NPP. Going to the elections, you recall that a number of issues came up, such as corruption against the NDC with regard to Airbus and other issues. I was so surprised that during the heat of the election, that issue was shoved under the carpet. Nobody heard of it. And I was so surprised that something you believe so strongly, it did not feature. And if you look at the strategy for the campaign, it did not go down well, because in election campaigning, you strategize in such a way that you build your message at the national level, at the regional level, and at the constituency level. We saw a disjoint in this issue to the extent that you have a DCE who is at the constituency knowing everything on the ground. And at the end of the day, when we went for election, over 30 ministers and deputy ministers were swept away by the tsunami of the voters in the election. It tells you that there was something wrong at the local level, and the DCE, the regional ministers, could not pick and then communicate to the authority. That was a poor campaign. And if you look at the messages that they churn out, they were a bit jerky in the sense that certain constituency-specific messages were not delivered, they were not identified and sent to the right areas, and he gave them the results that we had. So bad governance, yes, I agree with that.
All right.
Sorry, bad campaign messages, yes, or campaigning was a factor. I agree with that. Yes.
And then MPP and its MPs non-performance. It was one of the other issues. And it's got 33% there.
Yes, you give a government your mandate to rule on your behalf, to be able to fulfill a contract that has been signed between you and the government. And here you are, you don't get what you want. You express it this way, that yes, we expecting the government to do ABC, but unfortunately we did not get what we want. So we are giving you the feedback. If there is opportunity, which the opportunity exists anyway, you make amends so that next time it's a good gauge for government. Because look, it has come at the right time that the government is now even starting. They should be able to take it in their strides and then build on. Because the next time they are not going to just say it, but they are going to push the party into the periphery of the election, which is opposition. So that is a good gauge for government now.
Okay, great. Then the very next slide says citizens' perceptions of the increase in NDC's parliamentary seats. So our respondents attribute the gains the NDC made in the parliamentary elections as to the MP's non-performance, the NDC's campaign, and the performance of their candidates, and a way of punishing the MPP for non-performance. This is also quite instructive.
Yeah, the non-performance issue comes up here. That yes, they do not see the party performing, or the parties performing up to the standard that the citizens wanted. So they are venting out their grievances. But one interesting aspect of it was the two dominant party issue, that is the NDC and MPP. You know that by default, this country is just a two-party state.
Yeah.
In a two-party state, in the sense that only two parties have the political wherewithal to win power and form government. Other parties are half parties, as we call in political science. For me, I believe that if you look at the conversation around these smaller parties and their contribution towards politics, it is coming up strongly. You look at the NDC reforms that they have proposed. It ties into this, that we must take a second look at these smaller parties, whether they have the place to be the political, wherewithal to be on our ballot. My view is that the Electoral Commission has been abysmal in terms of implementation of the rules regarding who qualifies to be a party and all that.
Yeah.
You know that smaller parties must be present in about 2/3 of the districts in Ghana. But what are we seeing? They are non-existent in all these places that we are talking about. And yet the Electoral Commission is not able to crack the whip and then whip them to line. If we continue to do that, we are going to encourage more smaller parties who will not bring anything to the table. I am worried about this in the sense that anytime we go for a second round, it is these smaller parties that push us to that difficult era. Difficult era in the sense that we need to look for resources to be able to fund elections. It is only the last election that we are made to know that we were able to fund it ourselves. But previously, we have been relying on donors and all that. And if you continue on that tangent, the day that donors will hold you to ransom, you are in constitutional crisis. So I believe that Electoral Commission must put its feet down, and that if the parties are not playing ball, they clear them, so that at the end of the day, we will be able to have elections that goes through first round and go scot-free from these constitutional challenges. Let us also remember that if you have these smaller, anytime we go for second round, it is because of what the smaller parties, which from 1992 up to 2020, they have brought only 4%. If you aggregate all their votes, they have not gone beyond 4%. So why are they holding us to ransom? We must take a critical look at that if we really want to right our game.
Okay. Now, one other slide I want us to move on to: prospective evaluation of government services delivery performance 1. So in general, a significant minority of Ghanaians are optimistic that in the next 4 years, the Akufo-Addo-led MPP government will perform much better or better
in addressing public social service delivery, but are less optimistic about government's ability to reduce crime. And I come to you, Paul Osei-Kuffour. You have indicated that this is one of the very interesting findings that you made or you came across. I'm wondering, when they say much better or better, what does that say? Or does it also speak to the fact that people have not been very excited about what they've seen so far or in the past?
Okay, Evans, I think, Israel, apologies. If you permit me, I have a comment or two to add to the conversation that we were making on the reasons for the loss of the seats and the vote margin for the NPP.
Please do that.
I can quickly do that. It ties us back to the question of the role of MPs. The point is, are MPs development agents or legislative agents? This conversation keeps coming up. And if you look at the citizens' assessment of MPs, largely, you notice that their role as legislators seems to be on a lower focus than the developmental function that they want to position MPs to be. And that is not surprising that their performance, therefore, as being analyzed in terms of their developmental role, seems to influence the outcome of elections. So it's time we have to make a decision on the role of the MPs and that of the district chief executives. Citizens demand a lot of accountability from MPs compared to their district chief executives. How do we tilt the power imbalance, at the local level, such that accountability relationship will be shared or spread across the MPs and the DCs evenly? As it stands now, MPs are unfairly disadvantaged. And if you don't do anything about it, these expectations will continue to affect the outcomes of elections, and we continue to lose very experienced legislators time in and time out. I think it's something that I wanted to make. If you look at the last election,
it's an interesting observation you make there, but then I would also want to ask, isn't it the case that the people are deciding that, yes, you may not be responsible for bringing development, but we're expecting you to lobby or ensure that the president or your president delivers development, so that they are punishing you for the sins of your president? Go to Nonko.
They are punishing you for the sins of your president, but that is where I'm bringing in the conversation whether it provides an even platform, because you see, the MP does not control resources like the DCE. I'm trying to bring in a much broader conversation regarding the role of MPs and DCE, so that we can expand the limits of this debate. Because if you continue to assign these developmental functions without resources to MPs, whilst resources are given to DCEs or MMDCs, but accountability relationships between citizens and MMDCs are virtually non-existent. I'm talking about vertical, for them to even elect them and to demand similar developmental expectations from them. It's virtually absent. MPs will continue to carry a very huge burden that no MP can really perform to the satisfaction of their constituents, especially in a COVID era like this, where we are all complaining about resources. MPs have limitations. I'm not holding brief for them, but I'm trying to bring in that we must begin to look at the power relations between MPs and DCs critically.
I get your point, Mr. Osei-Kuffour, but I want to bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante here too. So Mr. Paul Osei-Kuffour is making the point, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, that yes, we seem to want to put the MPs in a position where we're expecting development from them, but they are not supposed to be the development agents. Even though others would also have argued that, yes, the MPs go about and promise, and they make promises during campaigns. But I feel, or the way I'd want us to look at it also is, could it be that when they say the MPs are not performing, they're boxing them together with the president. So they're expecting that the president would deliver. Because during campaigns, the president will go about with the MP, the candidate, and they will make promises. So they expect that, yes, once you win power, you would ensure that your president delivers on the promises he made with you.
Yeah, Israel, a good observation here you've made. I also want to add my voice here. That problem is, has been caused by the parties themselves, if I might say so. And you rightly pointed out this. And that sometimes they go around, that is the MPs, promising a development that they know very well that they don't have the wherewithal and they have the capacity and all there is to it to deliver. They go and promise this. So at the end of the day, what do you expect from the voter? Yes, because let us think about the rational choice perspective angle of every voter. That yes, when I'm going to vote, I look for opportunities, things that will further my interest. So if you've promised to deliver development in my area, and based on that, I do my calculation, I decide that I want to give you my vote. Why not? I will. But if I see that you are not delivering, then I'll punish you for that, delivery of the promise. That is fair. It's a fair argument. The other problem is also that it brings to the fore a problem that is associated with governance in this country. That if you go to the directive principle of state policy, there is a provision that says that development must be widespread, must cover every nook and cranny of this country. So when people feel that they have been left out in terms of development, you see them coming up to express themselves in terms of voting. Because let us remember that the ordinary man who serves in the street has no power apart from the power to change people who lead the affairs in the state. And for me, that is why you are seeing the kind of reaction that you are seeing, that people are tying performance to this thing and punishing them alongside with the president and his party. The other bit is that, look, MPs and, civil society and all that, we have failed to educate the masses about the role of an MP, that the MP goes to parliament to make laws. We know that occasionally they have to go to their constituencies to hold ABBA and then educate their people about government policies and programs, and also take from them their concerns and present them in parliament for onward presentation to government for redress. This is the very basic role of an MP. But when you have parties now having the penchant of going around to promise development, then the question is now who calls out? They have their fingers bent, they must carry their own cross.
Yeah. Now, Dr. Kwame Asante, what do you expect the political parties, or how do you expect the political parties to take these findings?
It is a good call for the ruling party to make use of this information, very useful information, which they are getting free of charge. As CDD, they spend a lot of money in producing this, but they are giving it free of charge to government. Government must be sober, look at them, reflect on them, and incorporate them into the work that the government is doing. Let us also know that, we are happy that the government has just started. So it is not a worst case scenario. If they sit down and look at them carefully and plan with them, I'm sure they should be able to deliver the public good.
Mr. Osei-Kuffour, what has been the reactions you've gotten from the political parties? I know that they were there during the presentation. What have they had to say about it?
Israel, I think this not being the first time that we've done this kind of survey. They understand the dynamics, the methodology that we adopt. So at the session yesterday, they accepted it in good faith that they are going back to look at the findings and use it to re-strategize, especially on the part of government. Some of them were not so much in support of the findings around a few, one or two of them around corruption or so, the MPP especially. But they accepted it generally to work with it and to use it for policy planning and to influence government policies and programs. The NDC was also represented. They also felt that government's has a lot of work to do to meet the confidence and aspirations of Ghanaians.
So yes, I can imagine that the NDC, they're excited about the survey, because I heard them say that yes, they're telling the NPP, this is what we've been telling you all this while, and the CDD survey has just confirmed it. Even though in the not too distant past, you were not so much of a darling when it came to the NDC.
Oh, I think for the past 10 years I've worked with CDD Ghana. We've had a very productive, fruitful working relationship with the NDC all this while. They've been participating in most of our programs. Last year, we did a manifesto election project. We collaborated strongly with them, including the running mate of the NDC, visiting the office of CDD Ghana, and also using our evidence and data to influence manifestos. We engage the manifesto committee. So the relationship is very productive. And I think that is how it's supposed to be. CSOs are not anti-government. CSOs, our focus is to support government's agenda, whatever it is, to ensure there's efficiency, there's economy, government respect rule of law, government creates equal opportunity for all, society is inclusive. These are the development dynamics or development issues that we look out for. So in as much as government is also pursuing some similar objectives and aims, there is no problem at all. I think we have a very fruitful working relationship with all the parties. But before we go, I want to make this point that we must hear strongly from government on how to address unemployment. Because if you look at the policy priorities needing government's attention, unemployment is as high as 57%. And I'm sure you will all not be surprised, though you may not want to blame government entirely because COVID has also taken a toll on the economy. There must be a way out to assure and convince Ghanaians as to what is government's approach in the short term, in the long term, and the immediate term as to what they are going to do to respond to these concerns. Unemployment used to be the major issue for Ghanaians since CDD started Afrobarometer surveys. In 2014, economic management was the #1 priority issue. In 2019, that's the pre-election survey, infrastructure and roads were the main issues of utmost importance to Ghanaians. Unemployment has come back to take the leading role, and it's as high as 57%. The second being infrastructure and roads, which is 36%. Education, which is 36%. Management of the community, 32%. So the last, the three behind unemployment are all in the 30s. But unemployment, the single issue is almost 60%, about 6. I cannot approximate it to 60 because it's 57, but we can say 6 out of 10 Ghanaians raised issues about unemployment situation in Ghana. And it's time as a nation we rally together and find solutions to respond to some of the. Otherwise, it has ramifications and implications on other sectors of the economy.
All right, thank you very much, Paul Osei Kufuor, a senior researcher at CDD Ghana. And I come to you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, for your final comment before we end the conversation. Hello, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante.
We've lost him. I think we lost him.
Okay. Right, so unfortunately it appears we have lost him. But we'll get on to Facebook and get to see some of the comments that you've posted there about the findings of the CDD survey. Where do you stand as far as the survey, the main points that are being raised are concerned? Majority of Ghanaians say they're not too impressed. Okay, so we have 105 comments, and
that's a lot.
Aziz Donla says 53% is even not enough. 89% of us say this government is corrupt, period. Okay. Ohene says, which individual in Ghana can even fight corruption? No one, as you are all corrupt in your minds before you get employed. Okay. Solomon Okran says the president is corrupt, so how can he fight for corruption in the country?
Okay, Samson Jan says the NPP and the government brought this on themselves. Emmanuel says CDD is a political institution. Why? Because they didn't specify when the president started fighting corruption, but they've sat somewhere and popped up something saying it's Ghanaians. Okay. Samuel says, a person described as the originator of corruption cannot fight corruption. He should be ashamed of himself and the woes he has brought to his descendants. Big flop in our history as a country. Kofi Danso says, even more than 53%, because this president is the most corrupt president ever in the history of Ghana. Talk PDS, Ameri, Ejapa deals, all of them, the president was deeply involved. Wisdom says, I stand with the majority of the respondents because of the Osafomaf case, PDF scandal, the contract deals of the company at the airport, how the health minister conducted himself in the recent vaccine acquisition, and how he was exonerated by the presidency, etc. That's Wisdom's view on that question. Wastoni says, oh, this is serious. JDM has killed Ghana and the people of Obuasi especially. Okay, I'm just going to take one more. Asigri Abdullah says there's no doubt on this because the president's breakfast is corruption and yet he goes ahead to take it daily. May Allah save us from the hands of the devil. Well, thank you to all of you who contributed on Facebook. And that conversation is done. We're moving on now and to some sports. So the new Hearts of Oak player Gladson Awako has been talking about prospects with Joy Sports editor George Addo Jr. Oweku told us about this earlier on, but this is it.
All right, so this is still the AM show, and we're going on to the conversation I've been meaning for us to have from the very beginning. So it's an opportunity for internship, especially for young people, actually graduates. It's known as the Industry Immersion Program by Africa Institute for Mathematical Sciences. The program is running in Ghana, Rwanda, Kenya, and South Africa. It's a wonderful opportunity, and that's why I was telling you to get your friends to tune in so they will know and they can take advantage of it. But it turns out that, well, it's mainly for people in STEM. And but yes, it is still an opportunity. So if you're in STEM, you need to listen to this conversation. And joining us for the conversation this morning is Mark Heerding, who's co-founder AIMS, and Dr. David Atipo, program lead at AIMS. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us. And I'd want to start with you, Dr. Atipo. So this is an exciting program, and I'm sure the people who are watching who would want to be part of it. And it turns out that this is something that has been running for some time.
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell us give us some of the examples so that the people who are watching will know that, I mean, there's no fluke. This is like real.
Yeah.
So you have taken people and given them some training, and then they become, they're excelling in their fields. Give us some examples.
So thank you very much, Israel, for this opportunity, and thank you to your viewers. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk to people about this. In the past, we have very wonderful students who have gone through our program. I can give an example of Mr. Seydou Tahiru. Seydou Tahiru joined our program in South Africa when we started. And he went on to intern with Bosch in South Africa.
Okay.
And after interning with Bosch, he was employed by Bosch Ghana, and he came back home, which is something that we are very particular about. And after he worked with Bosch Ghana for a while, he was pushed by M-Pharma, and now he's the global pricing manager for M-Pharma. So that's one example. Another example I can give off the top of my head is Mr. Ivan Sieboa. Ivan Sieboa joined Siemens as an intern. Now he's a manager at Siemens. Mr. Seth Afari-Boateng also is currently working for ThyssenKrupp, the big German engineering company here in Ghana. So these and many others across the continent, but I can only give you particular interest here in Ghana.
It's great. I mean, this is good enough. And I am big on internship, and I talk about that all the time if I happen to engage young ones. And I tell them that, look, internship is your way, the way you can put your foot in the door.
Exactly.
And I talk about that. You're in an organization, so there's multimedia. You want to join multimedia. But there are many people who want to join multimedia and probably become show host or show anchors. And then you're trying to come in and you apply and say, I want to become a show host. There are many people who want to become show hosts. How do we tell whether you are actually the kind of show host we're looking for? So if you get an opportunity to come in as an intern, to come and do something. It could be anything. Just take advantage of that. Sometimes you go in and it's not even paid internship.
Exactly.
You go in, you get your foot in the door, and then whilst in there, you can prove to the people that I can actually do this.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a good voice.
Exactly.
And so somebody hears you speak and say, you have a good voice. Yeah. Yes. You could actually do this.
I mean, Israel, I can actually tell you about my story. So my story, I'm an AIMS alumni from 2013. After I finished my master's, I got a scholarship supported by the German government to go and study my PhD at the University of Cape Town. And while I was there, I gave my time on a program for the South African government. And that was how Mark met me, actually.
Okay.
And I started as an intern for Mark. When I was interning for Mark, you know, it wasn't really paid. It was just, you know, interning and giving my time while I was still doing my PhD. And years on, this is 6 years since we started, and now I've led the program we started in just one country. Under my leadership, I'm now the program lead of the program, and under my leadership, I've scaled the program to 4 other African countries. So I really concur with what you're saying, because at the end of the day, an internship verifies your skill.
Exactly.
It tells to people that you are really what you say you are in terms of what you've learned in school, what you've studied in school. So I just want a lot of the young ones to take the opportunity when it comes to interning for companies.
Yeah.
And I also want to encourage companies to also look at it from that point of view as well and say that when students come to you looking for internship, it's a way for them to actually show you what they're actually capable of. Because very often what we actually lose is that at the end of the day, the universities are not really teaching the students what they are supposed to bring. But if you don't bring them on board, you will not really know. So
great.
That's why it's.
Let me bring in Mark here. Yeah. So how do you select people? I mean, how does one move from to join the program?
Good question, and thank you, Israel. It's important that we see a real desire to go to industry.
Okay.
We don't want anyone coming onto the program who doesn't really want to take their skills into employment in industry. Yes, there are alternatives. They can go into teaching or academia. But we focus on those mathematicians in particular who want to go to industry. And then the second big point of our internship program is so often our great mathematicians don't have workplace skills, which makes the transition, the bridge to industry, so much more difficult.
Yeah.
So really, our program, and the program I've been running now for 8 years, is building workplace skills, which is a combination of understanding business skills and secondly, personal development skills, teamwork, presentations, and all that is expected of you when you come into the workplace. So you're completely right. Everyone must grab the opportunity for internships. But equally, we have to understand there is a bridge to industry that we need to help our graduates cross.
All right, so how do you recruit the people or they apply?
It's a combination. They have to apply, but we recruit.
Okay.
We recruit because our reputation rests on our students being successful in time. So we understand that not every maths graduate or every STEM graduate wants to be in industry. So we have quite a rigorous selection process, looking for the real talents who we think are going to succeed, as David has alluded to.
Okay, so let's talk about the recruitment phase. How do you go about? Do you go to the universities to look for, identify the talents?
Yes.
Yeah, each year AIMS, the African Institute for Mathematical Sciences, we have 5 centers of excellence across the African continent. And we get about 6,000 to 8,000 applications from various universities on the continent. Out of these, we select 250 who sit in our centers. So we're selecting the top 1%, even less than that possibly, to come and sit within our centers. And as Mark has alluded, when they come into our centers, we are looking out for those who really want to take their skills into industry. The idea is really for us as a continent to actually try to enter the 4th Industrial Revolution, which is something we haven't really gotten ourselves into yet. So in so doing, we are getting a lot of our people to start thinking about industry and how we can actually apply the skill set that we have as mathematicians and STEM graduates in industry.
So this is where you say that people apply.
Yes.
But how do you also go out there to look for, the the particular skill that like headhunt and get some of those?
So we work particularly with most of our partners because, you know, we can't just trot around the continent looking for all these talents. So we trust the talents that our partners bring us. So, for example, we work with University of Ghana, the University of Cape Coast.
So do you have like you're liaising with lecturers?
Yes,
for instance, who say, oh, I have this guy here.
And department heads, yes.
So the department heads suggest some of the students. They actually recommend them to us. And even though the recommendation comes strongly, we still take them through our very rigorous selection process.
That's very, very necessary.
So it's something that when you come to AIMS, and I say this as an AIMS alumni, you get a full transformation. And if you really believe in the future of work and where the continent must go, AIMS is one of the places that you can actually gain the necessary skills that will push you into that place.
So let's take one who has passed through successfully. I mean, they selected the 250 that you say have been selected. What then happens to them? You said they are sent to some of your centers.
Yeah.
Will they be sent, if you're selected in Ghana, are you staying in Ghana, or they're sending you to another country?
So I was selected from the University of Ghana, and then I went to Senegal because I personally wanted to learn French.
Okay.
So when I went to Senegal, I stayed there for 10 months on my master's training.
So you have a choice as to the country you want to.
And we like that. We are trying to build multilateral skills into our mathematicians. We want them to feel at comfort wherever they're working in the continent. So that is one of the big options for all AIMS applicants, that they can select, if they wish, to go to different countries for their training. And then we take them onto the industry immersion program, which is this bridge to industry, but then we find them employment at home. So that is a key component. At the end of every course, it is our intention and desire to find them employment in their home country so they can develop the skills for them.
So they're selected, they end up in one of your centers, and they are developed or, you know, groomed essentially, and prepared for industry. Do you have to pay anything to be part of it?
No, AIMS is totally free. I always say this, that I remember I was a tutor at the University of Ghana, and I just took my bag and went on the plane, and I was in Senegal, and the entire time is fully funded. We even get stipends while we're at AIMS, so we don't pay for a thing. Everything is covered, including the industry immersion program.
Okay, hold on. I'm coming to you. So what's the catch? I mean, you tell me.
No, there's no catch. There's
for free. You take them, prepare them.
Yes.
You know, at your expense.
We have built a model, Israel, which has been very successful. So it's funded internationally as an NGO. So the whole Pan-African development of AIMS is fully funded, primarily by governments, both on the continent and externally, who are trying to develop our resources. So,
wow. Okay. I wish I could have an opportunity like that. But yes, those of you out there, yes, there's an opportunity. Just go for it. How do they get to? Is there a website?
Yeah, so they can go to the AIMS Ghana website. When they type AIMS Ghana, the website will just come up.
Okay.
They can just go there. All the information about how to apply to AIMS is on the website, and they can just apply for the program.
Okay.
And also, most people recommend other friends and family to also apply. Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. So Mark Herding, who's co-founder AIMS, and Dr. David Tipo, who's program lead also at AIMS. Thank you very much. And I'm very proud of you.
Thank you.
For how far you've...
Thank you very much for having us. Yes, a real shining light for our
Exactly. Program. Okay, so thank you very much. We're taking a break. We're bringing you Showbiz next, and something must kill a man. Stay tuned.
So time is up. It is only tomorrow. If you haven't gotten your ticket, make sure you do so either at Total Filling Station at Bachona, Kuala, here at the front desk at Multimedia, or go to Labadi Beach for your tickets to go and watch Something Must Kill a Man. Something definitely must kill a man. Well, we're joined on phone by playwright Lateef Abubakar. Lateef, good morning and welcome to the AM show. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing great. And good morning to your viewers.
Okay, so quick one. How ready are we for tomorrow?
We are ready. I mean, the play is ready. The grounds are ready. The COVID protocols are intact.
Okay.
Security intact. So it tells you that we are very, very ready.
Okay, good. So now you've told us we are ready and all that. How about, so stage is set?
Pardon?
Stage is set?
Yes. No, so we are doing final touches with regards to the stage.
With the stage?
By then, I'm sure by 3 p.m. today, it will be set.
Okay.
Because we need to do a technical rehearsal the stage, on stage.
Okay.
Today.
Okay, so today is when you're actually having the dress rehearsal and everything.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what we are doing tonight.
But how's rehearsal been coming up?
I think that so far so good. The actors are actually motivated enough and prepared to face tomorrow.
Okay.
Looking at the number of tickets that have been sold so far, we expect that at least we'll have a very interesting audience. I mean, a very good capacity field in terms of numbers. And so we are actually anticipating, and then we are keeping calm, psyching ourselves for tomorrow, just to make people happy, just to equip people with some important team building skills. I mean, so as for the actors, the cast and crew, everybody is mentally prepared for this particular event.
Looking at the tickets that have gone out, is it possible that we can get into a day 4, as in Sunday might be added onto the normal 3 days?
Strategically, we don't want to add that Sunday. Okay. Strategically, but it is very possible that the tickets will be sold out. That it is possible. But then we are not prepared to do a 4th day on Sunday.
Okay.
We actually want to stick to our original plan, and then for those of you who have tickets and those who don't have tickets to grab, we'll try and grab it as early as possible. When we get a full house, which we'll definitely get from the way the tickets are running,
okay.
We don't believe we would add a Sunday.
Okay. Lateef, thank you so very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And that will wrap it up for Showbiz on the AM show. I'm sure Nimue is going to wrap it all up. And don't forget that it is on tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday. Tickets, just walk to the front desk of Joy FM building. And you can also get tickets at Labadi Beach Hotel.
Thank you so much for sharing your morning with us. And that's the end of the AM show for today. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. See you then.